As Christians, we are people of the book. We base our lives on the Bible. We learn about who God is and what He has done from the Bible. Our worldview is shaped by the Bible. But oftentimes, the question is raised about natural theology. As the name implies, natural theology is the study of what we can learn about God from His creation. Let me start with one example. We know the story of Job. God allows Satan to take everything away from Job: his wealth, his children, and his health. Job sits on the ash pile, scraping himself with broken pottery to find some kind of relief, and he asks the question, why? Why did God do this? Why am I suffering? Job and his three friends debate these questions for many chapters, and eventually God responds to Job's lamenting and comes to Job. Now, we might expect that God would show up on the scene and tell Job his reasons for Job's suffering, but God shows up on the scene and starts talking about creation. God talks about laying the foundations of the earth. He talks about the expanse of the earth, storehouses of snow, rain in a desert, the constellations. God talks about deer giving birth on the mountainside, the ostrich, the courage of the war horse, the power of behemoth. Now, you might think that God is completely sidestepping Job's question, but He's not. God is speaking about His character, which is demonstrated in His creation. Each example of nature, God is showing Job something about His nature. God laid the foundations of the earth. There is nothing outside of His control. God is the one who takes care of the deer giving birth on the mountainside when no one else is there. The ostrich is depicted as being a thoughtless animal, and really we can all agree that the ostrich looks a bit comical. But even for this bizarre creature, God gave the ostrich exactly what it needs to survive, specifically the ability to outrun its predator. God is answering Job's questions by showing Job His character from creation. Now, Romans 1 also picks up on natural theology. Romans 1:18 through 20 says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. Because that which is known about God is evident within them, for God made it evident to them. For since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes, His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so that they are without excuse. God indicts the entire world. The whole world should know about God through the creation. But instead of submitting to God, they suppress His knowledge in unrighteousness, ultimately trying to pervert the creation itself. Paul says that the wicked choose to worship the creature rather than the Creator. And the two aspects of God's nature that are on display, according to Paul in Romans 1, are God's eternal power and His divine nature. God's eternal power means not only that God is all-powerful, but that He has a power that is outside of the creation. God's power is not in any way tied to the creation. In addition, we should also recognize from creation that God is deity. There is one and only one God, and He is holy. This idea of holiness is that God is completely separate from His creation. He has an infinite nature, unbound to anything within creation. All creation testifies to God's eternal power and divine nature. But instead of recognizing this and submitting to God, humanity has exchanged the glory of God for a lie. Humanity has chosen instead to worship itself, to worship the creature rather than the Creator. And ultimately, rebellious humanity seeks to corrupt creation so that they will not be reminded of God's authority. We can learn a great deal from natural theology, and praise be to God who has also given us His word, which shows us the way of salvation in Christ Jesus.